Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. This is Witch's Ritual, if you are new here. And I have a very special guest on today. We have Steph from Witch Wednesdays. She is a fellow podcaster and YouTuber. And today we wanted to talk about hearth witchcraft as well as incorporating that into this time of year. We're getting into the autumn time, and I think it's the perfect time of year to start exploring things throughout your home and how you can use your home as a way to have a sacred space for yourself, but also a catalyst for your magic. So welcome, Steph.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. I'm so glad to have you back on. If you guys have not heard the first podcast we had of Steph, we also kind of explored Hearthcraft, but we also had book recommendations as well. So definitely go check out that one. So my first question is, how would you define hearth witchcraft for yourself?
That is an excellent question. And I feel like the definition changes for me like season by season, but overall, it just, for me, it means that most of my witchcraft practice, or like the basis of like what I do most often or consider sort of like the most important, is really based on my home. So it is either like about the home in general or for myself and the other people that live.
Perfect. I think that's exactly how I like relate to it as well. I know a lot of people like are like, oh, if you're in the kitchen, you're a kitchen witch, but like I think we're just like splitting hairs at that point. And anything that revolves around the home is hearthcraft. So well said.
Yeah, it really could be like anywhere. Kitchen witchcraft is included in that. So is like my garden. So I'm not really like a green witch, but I do stuff out there. So I consider that all like under the umbrella of my hearth witchcraft practice.
Yeah, same here. Like every spring, I like to put a little bit of a sugar mix into the garden as an offering. And I find it just helps the soil. I mix it with some eggshells and all of that. So there's always a way to incorporate things, even in the garden, into your hearthcraft.
Absolutely.
So my question is, how did you discover hearth witchcraft? And kind of like, how was your journey to come to that, knowing that that was the path for you?
So I started out a while ago, and it was before there were like as many books as there are now, and it definitely no social media or YouTube videos or everything to sort of, guide the way and give options. And there weren't really titles back then. Kind of like all of the books that were available, whether they said they were Wiccan or not, were very Wiccan based, because that's just kind of, I mean, most witchcraft is based on like Wiccan practices. That's how it like came back into focus. So there's like a little hint of Wicca in sort of everything that we do. But back then it was like all very Wicca based books, and it was hard to find anything that wasn't like that. And there were no sort of titles. That's kind of a more recent development, and definitely prevalent with social media, because it's just easier to connect with other witches and sort of like explain your practice and what you like to do in just a couple of words by giving those different titles like hearth witch or kitchen witch. It's just easier to connect with other people like that. So the terms are a new thing for me. And as far as deciding that I wanted to go more into hearthcraft, I think that started when we first bought the house that we're in now, because we lived in apartments before that. When I moved out for college, I have been in apartments ever since. So, and I moved every year. I think everyone's like familiar with that, where you like,
yeah,
at the end of like every year, really, especially in college, you just like moving all the time. And it never really occurred to me to do a lot of hearthcraft, because no place really felt like that permanent, or like that I was that connected to it. And I also didn't spend as much time there. Whereas here in this house, we bought this house in 2016. And at first I did not love it. My husband loved this house. Like I didn't even see it before we purchased it, because we like looked at a lot of houses and I was like, I hate house hunting and I'm never going again. I only saw like 3 or 4. I was
Oh
like,
my
this is
gosh.
horrible and I'm not doing this anymore. Like it is not my thing at all. And he must have gone to like 50 houses and then finally like found this one. He was like, nope, I love it. We're doing it. I'm like, fine, I do not care. Put in an offer. I am not even going. So he loved it like from the beginning and I just did not.
Mhm.
And I never really like connected with it. And there were all kinds of issues when we first moved in, which I think is like pretty standard with like a new house. Like you have to like update things. There's always like little problems that inspectors didn't catch and you have to like fix stuff up. So I have never been one to enjoy DIYs or house projects. So I was just like immediately overwhelmed because like I said, I've been renting my whole life. You have a landlord to fix all of that stuff when
Yeah,
you're renting. So
exactly.
I don't know how to do anything around the house. So I was like, okay, this is horrible. I don't like it. I don't like being a homeowner. And then I sort of figured that a lot of the issues like with the house have a lot to do with my attitude towards the house.
Mhm.
And just like my attitude towards homeowning in general. So I decided I had to fix that. And the best way to do that is sort of through witchcraft and through hearthcraft and just connecting with the spirit of the house and any like, spirits that reside here. Like we have a little brownie, a little face spirit.
Yeah.
So I had to, chat with the brownie and be like, listen, let's come to some understanding here. And work out how this house feels. And then, especially as we moved into 2020, I was home all the time, 24/7.
Oh yeah.
So, which I think everybody sort of, was doing Hearthcraft then because we just didn't have any other option. Like you're home all the time. You have to make it into a space that you enjoy. And that's not always like physical changes. Sometimes that is energetic changes. And that is like really when I was like, okay, I am very dedicated to Hearth Witchcraft right now because I am here all day, every day. I really have to make this space work for me. So that's kind of how I got into it and then like really focused my craft on to that path. Because like I said at the beginning, everything was sort of Wicca based and I don't even know what my label was back then, but it definitely wasn't Hearth Witchcraft. I was just kind of like doing stuff all over the place, just random manifestations, but no really like rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel like that time of our history was like a pinnacle of us focusing on like what's really important for us as a collective. And I think for even myself, like I started to like not go to work even if I had the ability to because and I would use a bit of an excuse of going like, you know what, I should stay home just in case I don't want to get ill or whatever. And it's because what was important to me was my overall mental health and my overall like quality of life, and I wasn't getting that where I was. So I think is a really great time for us to all like figure out what was working for us back then. And I definitely noticed for myself, I was really diving into more of the hearth stuff, the energetics of the home. My prior house that we lived in was absolutely awful for energetics. I have not, like, knock on wood, had any energetic things in our new house now, but like we saw shadow people and we had all kinds of different things happening, knocks and running up and down the stairs and all of that. So I'm really thankful that our new house is so much more peaceful and it's a newer development. So now we're like a little bit more of like a clean slate. And that's what I was thinking about this is starting my hearthcraft journey in this new house, a fresh start, just gritting things and getting things into the energy that I want. And that's why I'm so glad you're able to come on so that I can kind of pick your brain a little.
Absolutely.
So I know you were mentioning a little bit about talking about working with house spirits and your little house brownie. How did you first make contact with that spirit?
That was like just sitting down and having a conversation with the house that was like, okay, let's come to terms here because like I'm not happy. And if I'm like giving negative energy that like makes the house like have negative energy. So I was like, okay, like let's like what's going on here? Because I am an animist in my practice. So I think that everything has a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So, not just people and animals, but I feel like each tree has their own spirit and crystals and houses. Like everything has a spirit, and each house has its own like distinct spirit, whether that came from the land that it was on or came from the wood that it was built with. Everything's sort of got its own energy and spirit. So I sat down to connect with the house itself, and then kind of got the feeling doing that it was like maybe more than one spirit that I was talking to. And I was like, okay, like maybe there's like a land spirit here and there's a house spirit. But then stuff started going missing.
Oh yeah.
And if you I mean, I'm going to do like a house tour over on YouTube this month because I'm doing Vlogtober. And Vlogtober is not a good depiction of my house because it's covered in Halloween decorations right now. So I'm going to have to like do one like later on in the year and show what my house really looks like. It is very clean and minimal. I have always been like a minimalist because like I said, moving every year, I don't want stuff. I don't like stuff. And since we've settled in here, like I am meticulous about where my stuff is, and my entire wardrobe is probably 40 pieces. So I don't lose things. There's no reason why stuff should go missing and me like tear apart the house and like not be able to find it. That's not normal. That's just not how I function. And we do have a small dog, but she doesn't touch anything. So there's no reason that like stuff should have gone missing. So I was like, okay, you know what? That is very common of fae spirits, especially what like was going missing was kind of shiny stuff. And I was like, that's very common of fae spirits to be attracted to shiny things and to take sort of, you know, rings, earrings, crystals, things like that. They enjoy having those. And I was like, maybe that's the other spirit that I was feeling along with the house spirit is some sort of fae spirit. And I just started calling it a brownie and reaching out as a brownie, and it has never like told me otherwise because there's a lot of different fae house spirits depending on what like cultural background you come from. And brownies are very Celtic. So I don't know. Like, the person who owned this house before us was Celtic, or where like the brownie came from as opposed to, you know, any other sort of tradition or culture. But I've been using the term brownie and the little spirit has not corrected me, so I'm going with brownie. So I left out a little offering as an exchange, being like, you know what? I think maybe there's a brownie here, and if you are here, I have misplaced a ring and I would like to find it. And if you can assist me with finding it, here's an offering in exchange. And then the ring turned up like sitting on a dresser top like 2 days later.
Oh my gosh.
Like, okay, that was not there before.
Oh, it's so weird.
It is, but that is just like, that's how they work. Like, I know that this dresser top was clean. Like, it was not here before. So I appreciate that this ring has made it back. And now we have like a relationship understanding of let's like not have stuff go missing and here's your regular offerings and work together kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. I think honestly, like just listening to your experience there, that I may have had maybe something similar. I always thought it was maybe something a little darker, but you know, like it could have been a mix of different energies. And I had my friend Corey like cleanse the house with one of his spirits. And then after that, it was much more of a less like dominating energy, and it was more like playful and like interested. So maybe that's what it was that I was dealing with. But like I had lost my phone, I think a year and a half ago. We were cleaning out our like our stuff because I had just moved in and we were trying to get rid of all this extra. And I had my phone on our little kitty table and I was taking pictures of like my old collectibles and stuff like that I was going to sell. And I put my phone down on the table. We only had 3 garbage bags in the entire house that we were like putting stuff in to donate. And my phone had never left the table after that point. I literally took a picture of this little beanie baby and I put it down on the table. And then I went upstairs. I came back down. No one went down there. And my phone was gone. And I could not find it until we moved recently. And you would never guess where it was.
Where?
It was in a box at the very bottom of a box at the back of our stairs where we had not pulled out boxes. Like we weren't pulling out boxes. We were literally just going through our sewing room area and like the stuff that I had brought in from my old house and using that. So this was behind a door that was never open the entire time we were doing it. And I'm like, there's my phone. How did that get back there? And I was like, okay, maybe the spirit's telling me I'm too much on my phone because this was kind of like during lockdown and stuff. It's like, maybe get off your phone and live life. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I had to buy a new phone and everything, and then of course I found it. So yay.
Of course.
Okay, so I definitely think that I'm going to explore that for myself and maybe see, even if I can connect to that spirit of this area, like early on and create that relationship. I think that would be really good. I'm really focusing on trying to cultivate like spirit of the land and spirit of like the home right now to develop that defense mechanism against anything that might want to come in that I don't want beforehand. Because before I feel like I was like constantly trying to like expel things from our place, and I definitely don't want that situation again.
Yeah, it's so much work.
Yeah, it's exhausting, and I feel like I still was never like super successful with it. I think we had like a little girl spirit that my partner had seen a couple times, and yeah, and like just anything with like children's spirits is like super creepy to me, and I can't get over, regardless of if it is innocent or not. I feel like it's just not positive. I feel like they always put on a face.
Fair, totally
Yeah.
fair.
Okay, so the next thing I was wondering was for those who are wanting to get into Hearthcraft and explore this path, what would your advice be for them?
My advice would be to start small and just start with, where you are.
Mhm.
And that so that it doesn't mean that you have to, do this whole big like ritual cleansing, trying to like get everything out and doing all of these elaborate protections. I think the best place to start really is just sitting down with the spirit of your house and just having a quiet moment to figure out what is going on.
Mhm.
And seeing, what else is residing there. Maybe it can offer ideas of where, like, what steps to take next or what you need to do next. But it really is just starting small, because I think when you look at hearth witchcraft in books or on YouTube, it really is like there's like a lot of elaborate witch rules that you can do, and lots of kitchen witchcraft, like really long recipes and stuff, and doing protections, and like making witches bottles and burying those at all four corners of your house. Like that's a lot. That takes a lot of
Yeah.
effort and energy and a lot of materials. And I hate sending people out to like buy stuff in order to like do protections on your home. Like you don't need to buy anything and like go through all this like complicated stuff. You really can just start small. That is always my advice for beginners in any capacity, because I have done that where I like have spent way too much money on stuff and I'm like, I'm never going to use this ever again.
Yeah, it's like the one time thing, and like, oh, can you not like substitute something that maybe it would even work better than going out and buying this thing that you use one time?
Right, exactly.
Okay, perfect. I like that. I'm like such a bit of like I like the extreme of everything in my practice for some reason, and I'm trying to pare it down so that I don't get overly distracted.
It's
So
such an easy trap to fall into.
it is like I like the pomp and circumstance in a lot of things. And I'm starting to be like, okay, I don't need that in my everyday life, especially because I'm a folk practitioner. And I'm starting to ignore that a little bit and really getting into like more of ceremonial like practice, like development and like creating those rituals because I find it really fun. And like, it could just be the phase of my life right now, but I think I'm ignoring a little bit of like the everyday stuff that could even like propel me a little further because I'm doing it more frequently. So it's definitely something I'm trying to like focus in on.
It's hard. It is because it's like so tempting because everything is like so beautiful and elaborate. And then sometimes
Mhm.
when you do that ceremonial work, it like makes you feel so much more connected.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an easy trap to fall into.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, actually, I'm going to be sharing this on my channel very soon. I'm just finishing up with this month's spread, but what I'm doing to kind of like pare that down a little bit is I'm scheduling my large rituals throughout the year. So I've always planned my rituals throughout the year and kind of looked at the year as a whole. Like when I was talking to Mavius on my YouTube channel a while ago, I was saying, like I look at the entire year as a way to like focus on like one large manifestation. Like it's like little incremental steps as you go through the seasons to get towards that one goal. It's one large ritual in my brain. And I'm going to be getting my bullet journal and giving a tour of how I do that now, because I'm hoping this way I'm able to pare down those rituals and then be able to hold space for like the small, mundane, everyday folk craft.
I'm so excited for that. That sounds so interesting to see how you do that because that's not my skill set, which you think it would be because I'm such a planner, but like
Yeah.
planning it out the year like that, I don't think I could do it. So I'm so interested to see how you make that work.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've been like playing with a couple bullet journals for a while. And then I got one from like Mellow Days. It's a brand and it's a watercolor based bullet journal. It has more of like a
Ooh.
warm tone page and I'm kind of obsessed with it. And I started like holding a little bit of it as like a precious item. So I was like, you know what? Just dive into it. Just it's an art craft right now. Just do it.
Just got to use it.
Yeah, and then since then I'm really starting to develop like the spreads and things that work for me, and it's kind of like an art craft also for me because I do that as well, where I use art as like portals for myself to get to certain areas. And yeah, so I'm just kind of using it as an outlet that way and also a planner. So it's like kind of like a grimoire slash planner.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, so what kind of offerings would you leave a house spirit? Like, what do they like? Have you experienced?
The house, the spirit of the house, or like a Fey brownie spirit.
Like a Fey brownie spirit.
So for Fey brownie spirit, they like sweets, they like stuff with strong tastes and anything shiny. That is
Anything
what I
shiny.
found. So like a honey milk fixture is always good. If I am like baking anything, I will just cut out a little portion and that like put that in their spot as the offering. Anything like shiny. So if I have any little like crystals or things, those. But yeah, usually honey milk is my go-to, and then any little cakes and things.
Oh, okay. And then as for like a house spirit, is it very much different?
Yeah, I have found that the house spirit is more like energetic offerings are appreciated. So my house spirit just appreciates when I clean.
Oh yeah.
That's like,
I can see
pick up
that.
your laundry. Like you got it.
You know, and maybe we still had spirits here, or maybe something has moved with me but hasn't noticed. But like, I know in my old house, like our energetics and just the area, even the area we lived in was just like so energetically like unmatching with like who we were. And it would just make you feel some type of way even when you're driving around in it. And I always noticed our house was so much more messy over there, and we were always really struggling to like keep it clean. But we're in like
Yeah.
literally a smaller space than we were before. And everything has been immaculate because we made it that way when we came in. We put things away. We didn't have boxes pile up. We would literally do one box at a time as we brought it in. It took so long, but it was worth it. um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I haven't found any like spirit activity. So maybe that's what it was. It was just my house spirit being like, clean your damn house.
They do appreciate that. Just like cleaning and like taking care of it and just like an energetic offering
Hmm.
more so than like anything physical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've always enjoyed crafting like a sacred space and like using my home as like a place of peace and manifestation. And that's why like Hearthcraft is really appealing to me. So I was wondering, kind of like, what does your practice look like at this time of year? Does it kind of change with the seasons?
Oh yeah, my practice always changes with the season and ebbs and flows because I just feel more connected
Mhm.
to the winter and fall seasons. So I personally feel like I have more energy then, and I hate being hot. So I am just constantly drained during the summer. Like even if I am inside all the time in the air conditioning, which I am,
Mhm.
I just the whole season just makes me feel drained. I don't know what it is. So if I am feeling energetically drained, I just don't have as much to give to like a witchcraft practice. So
Mhm.
there's absolutely ebbs and flows. Whereas now we are entering my season where everything sort of ramps up. Uh,
Mhm.
I would say November, December, January are like the busiest times for actual like witchcraft, because in October I just love Halloween. So I'm just
Yeah,
like
same.
completely, like Halloween focus, like very secular, like nothing religious about it, nothing, too much with Samhain, like very little. And not as much with witchcraft unless it's like very like something like related to Halloween. I
Mhm.
know that you and I are going to talk about this more in the future, but like with like pumpkins and stuff,
Oh yeah.
that's very Halloween with for me, but there's also like so much witchiness that I can do with that. So whatever I do in October is like related to the Halloween season because I just love
Yeah, same. I think I've been in the vibe of like autumn and Halloween since July. And that was a little early for me, but like we were having a lot of like rainy days and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? Let's take advantage of this vibe because when else are you gonna have like summer ween? So like I was like, okay, we're gonna do like we're gonna build forts in the living room and we're gonna watch like Stranger Things and scary movies and read
it.
autumnal books and I was living my best life.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was one of your favorite kind of rituals to do this time of year? Like, what are things that you must do this time of year, if there's any? Like for me, I wrapped up my protection practices this time of year. What's something that you have to do or love to do this time of year?
Yeah, protections definitely, but I more so like to do cleansings right now. This is kind of like cleansing period when we're recording this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sort of ramp up protections around Samhain specifically.
Hmm.
And that has a lot to do with like our tower house is decorated. We have like a giant fence out front, and we have spent hundreds, not thousands of dollars on Halloween like animatronics. So like there's so much stuff out there.
Ooh.
So I have to do like house protections on it
Hmm.
because I live in Chicago and it
Oh
is a
yeah.
lot of land here. And I have to protect all of my stuff, both physically and energetically. So I do a lot of protections on our house and our belongings, our whole property. So that sort of ramps up going into Samhain. And I think that that's a good time to do that because Samhain is often considered the witch's new year.
Hmm.
So it's nice to do cleansings now and then protect, and then you're, set for a new year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually the best time of year where I feel like more related to like starting the new year, where I feel like this is the time to like start reflecting on what I want for the next year. I know a lot of people think spring is better. I've tried that before and I just get overly distracted by life and I just want to be outside at that point. So I love doing this time of year, getting my like goals and everything in place before winter even hits. And then once winter hits, I'm able to start like working towards those things and also being a little bit more internal and healing anything that might be left over from the year prior.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just don't have like the same energy and motivation in spring. I know it's like spring cleaning is a popular thing, but I think that's
Mhm.
just because you can open your windows finally.
Yeah.
But like other than that, I'm like not that motivated to clean stuff up during
No.
spring. Like more motivated now.
No, I'm more like motivated to like do crafts during the spring or whatever. Like I like to do like a lot of art. So like I'll paint my like Easter stuff or whatever. Or Ostara stuff, or I'll create a new thing for my altar for it or something like that. But like most of the time I'd rather be like being creative or being outside, enjoying like the new budding of everything and checking out the new plants that are starting to come up in the area. Like that's what I'm really excited for in this area because it's so brand new. I just discovered we have wild chamomile in the field the other day, so I was so excited.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited for that.
Absolutely.
So is there a protection ritual you feel like comfortable with sharing or something that would be like easy for someone who's new for this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, how simple or complicated are we talking here? I mean, I can share more than
Um,
one.
oh, sure. Maybe like an easy one and then like maybe more advanced.
Okay. Well, yeah. So let's do an easy one then is I do doorway blessings and protections.
Mhm.
So that's, like the place where people enter and exit is like a high energetic traffic point. It is like they're like openings for both energy and for spirits, that could be good or bad. So when I am like doing my cleansing and protecting, I really do like to focus on doorways, because that's, when we might not have anything like negative, but when we go out in the world and like interact with other people, it's very common to like pick stuff up just from existing in a space with other people. Just like going to the grocery store or something, you might like pick something up. So I like to have blessings and protections around those doorways, so that it will like sort of collect everything when we come in, and like not bring that into my house. So I do a door wash. So you have like floor wash, and I have door wash. So for door wash, it is just distilled water with white vinegar. So it's like 2 cups of distilled water, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and then like 20 or so drops of a lemon balm essential oil.
Ooh.
And it smells really good. It's very protective. Citrus is really good for that, for cleansing and protecting. So I just get like a cleaning rag, like a little microfiber cloth, and I wipe the doorways. And while I do that, I just do like an energetic cleansing and just envision any negative energies being cleared away, and cleared away every time somebody crosses through that doorway across that boundary. So that is like part of my cleansing, part of my protections every time I do a house cleansing. And I do sort of a deep clean around the house once a month, and I make sure to do that. So once a month, basically, I go over every single doorway with that mixture.
Ooh, I love that. It's so like simplistic and easy to implement, and I think I'm gonna try that because I've been like trying to do like door sprays or like window washes and stuff like that, but I like to overcomplicate things.
It's always fun, isn't it?
Yeah. I might try it out and see how I like something a little bit more pared down.
Yeah, I like it because if I do something too complicated, sometimes I do enjoy that, but I just won't do it often enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like the more ingredients and the more steps there is, the less likely I am to commit to it.
Yep.
So at least like with it's just like making this mixture and going around the doorways, I can do that once a month. I can manage that.
Yeah, that's pretty simple.
But yeah, I do have a more complicated one. I don't even say like this is complicated. It just requires more ingredients. But one that I like to do, and this is one that I will do when I'm sort of like energetically cleansing and protecting the home, and not every month because it just takes too long.
Yeah.
But for that, I get a clear quartz and another stone, like a dark one, whether that is black. I use hematite. I find that that works as well, but you're looking for like the balance between the two. So a clear one and a dark one. And 7 candles. And I like to use as small of candles as possible because you're letting them burn, and pillar candles will take like forever.
Yeah,
So I'm
like
just looking
days.
for like tea lights or chime candles to burn down. Even then I'm only burning the candles for about 30 minutes. And I like to get the rainbow assortment of colors, 7 of them. So I usually do 1 white one, and then I do like red, pink, yellow, green, blue, purple. It tends to be my mix there. And then some sort of like cleansing option. A lot of people would use incense, but I do not like incense. So I will usually just take my besom, my broom, like a small one. And I will set up like a little altar space. Sometimes I have like a permanent altar going. Sometimes I will just set this up on my tiny room table. And I place all 7 candles in a circle, like in their little candle holders. I put the crystals in the center of the ring. And then I light the candles. I let them burn for about 30 minutes. And I just envision the space being cleansed and protected. Any number of things that you can say to go along with that, of just like envisioning positive energy. A lot of people like to chant or make up something that rhymes. I don't often speak during my spell work. I find that it just works like thinking about it in my head and sort of envisioning what I want the outcome to be. That seems to work fine for me.
Mhm.
And while the candles are burning, like I said, about 30 minutes, I go around the entire house, like, and concentrate on each room and do a cleansing in there. And like I said, a lot of people will just like light an incense stick in each room and let that kind of go. But I don't like the way that incense smells. I never have.
Mhm.
I don't like the smoke. So I will instead go into each room and take my besom and do like the sweeping motion to cleanse out the energy.
Mhm.
And then let the candles burn. If they're not done yet, I will just blow them out. It's fine. I have like no issues just like blowing out a candle. So if they're still going after about 30 minutes and I've done like the whole like besom cleansing around the house, I will just go ahead and burn those out or blow them out. And then I take the crystals and place them in whatever the main space is that I'm focused on. Most of the time that is the living room. But if we are having like people over or party or something, I will put them in the kitchen instead because people really gather in the kitchen.
Yeah, they
Uh,
do.
yeah, so it's like more about placing those crystals as like a continuing protection where the most activity is going on. That's like the most central to your house. So when it's just us here, then that's the living room. But if we're having people, it's the kitchen.
Okay, awesome. I love that so much. It's like like a spiritual gritting almost for your space.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna try that this month.
And I just love like all the like the different color candles because you're getting all the different energies of those colors. Like blue is calming and yellow is, positivity and uplifting. So you're getting kind of like all of the things in there.
Oh, I love that. It's like an all-in-one spell for like your energetic space. It's like a reinforcement of the energy you want throughout the year. And I like that. I can see myself putting like a mental grid on that with the meditation while it's burning and gridding my house. Oh, it'll be so fun. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it's not nothing that I do is like that complicated. It's just that there's more materials
Yeah.
required in that.
Same.
But yeah,
I
that is
go,
not something that I do every single month because there's too much to it to like go around and besom every single house in my
oh
every single
yeah.
house. It's too much.
Yeah, that's like a once every 6 months thing for me, probably.
Exactly.
Um, for the next one I was wondering about is what are some modalities that you like to use within your hearthcraft? I know some like to use sewing, some like to do like cooking. For myself, I'm starting to dive into feng shui a little bit, and I'm seeing a lot of really good results. So, what are some of your like favorite modalities within the hearthcraft?
Oh, I love that. Feng Shui is so interesting to me, but I've like never been able, I haven't like fully dove into that, but I find the concept so interesting. So I love that you're doing that. That's really exciting.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's something that just started calling to me. And I started following Mia Magic had a guest on her um, YouTube channel, and it's one of her friends, and she does feng shui. And I'll have to like post it in the show notes below. But I started diving into her Instagram, and I was obsessed immediately. And I started intermixing it into like my money altar, and as soon as I did that, we literally moved like that. And like one of my goals was to like move into like a different energetic space. And even though it wasn't something that I purchased, but my father-in-law was like, "Oh, so we're upgrading you guys. We're moving now," because it was his place. We were renting from him, and he's like, "Oh, okay, we're upgrading. This place is getting too old," and we moved within a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying
Oh yeah. That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, I definitely encourage you to try it a little bit, even if you're just like looking at the areas of the house and just starting to figure out like what is your money corner, what is like your communal space, what is like your love wall or whatever, and like just picking one and like starting to arrange your life around that. It's been really like exciting for me.
That's so much fun. That's definitely something that I want to look more into because I do find that practice fascinating.
Yeah, it's so
But
much fun. Yeah, for
not one that I like currently am using, but maybe in the future.
so currently, what are like in this season of our witchness, what are you currently like loving to incorporate into your practice? Are you in the kitchen a lot? Are you doing art craft? Are you journaling?
Yeah, for me, this is high kitchen time.
Hmm.
So because I just feel like in the spring and summer, like it's too hot to turn the oven on.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I hate being hot, so I'm not gonna like make my house any hotter. But I do really like kitchen magic, and I like baking
Mhm.
specifically because I very much enjoy following a recipe exactly. I'm not one of those people that can just like throw ingredients in and taste it as I go and like,
Mhm.
make it up, which is like much more how cooking is. I can't do that. I have to follow a recipe exactly. So that is baking. Baking is following ingredients exactly how they're laid out, and I'm very good at that. But I love baking, and I just feel like that's such an easy way to incorporate energy, intention, sigils, and just really make something and be able to give that to people, to family. I send it with John when he goes to the firehouse. So that's like a fun way for me to incorporate. And these are like my months where I like feel like, okay, I can actually spend time in the kitchen without, sweating and like actually, being able to enjoy it and to incorporate like different herbs and correspondences and play around, with vanilla and chocolate and all of those. It's fun for me.
Oh, that's so much fun. Yeah, I've been feeling a bit of a call to like try more baking. I'm not really great at it. I like doing it. But I also find it really like exhausting because it's a lot of work too. You have to do it very specifically. I think like last time I did baking was with my grandma and we did like butter scones and it took all day. Like literally all day. I wanted to die.
Yeah. I find it like like a relaxing, like meditative, you know what I mean? Like doing
Mhm.
something from start to finish. But I don't usually pick things that take all day because I
Yeah.
probably would just like give up.
Yeah, it was like we did butter scones and we did also like these raisin pocket things. So like we were like literally stuffing them and like pinching them closed and doing the dough and like making the mixture. Like that took so long. And like my grandma was like instructing me. So she wasn't doing any of this. I was just following her instructions that also took long. But like it was fun, but you don't realize how much of a workout it is until you start doing it.
Like, oh yeah, very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I love getting into the kitchen. That's really exciting. What are one of your like favorite things to bake?
Oh, kind of all over the place. I love making cookies because I feel like that's the easiest way to get different flavors and ingredients in there
Hmm.
without messing anything up too badly. Like cookies are pretty forgiving, as long as you've got the right, batter ratios, like the basics of like the, oil, eggs, butter, whatever it is that you're using.
Hmm.
You have that down, then you can kind of like add in like different nuts and chocolate chips and kind of like all that different stuff. And it's very like the batter itself is very forgiving. So you
Hmm.
can do a lot of different things. Whereas like some other stuff, when you make it, it's like you really have to follow the recipe exactly as written and you can't like add in extra ingredients or it's just not going to turn out. Whereas
Yeah,
cookies are cookies. They always taste good.
exactly. Yeah, I think that would be fun for me to try. I am always on like Instagram checking out like the witchy baking, and I like I put up a fight when we moved. We were like getting rid of stuff and paring down, and we have these two little cookie cutters. One is like a star, and then one's like a moon shape. And it's the only two cookie cutters we have. I'm like, I am keeping these because I want to do witchy cookies.
Yay.
Woo! For myself, I think journaling is going to definitely be something that I'm working on. Also, teas. I don't know about you, but like this is the time of year that I'm like all about like the warm drinks. And I've been experimenting a little bit with making my own tea mixtures for my apothecary, and I think I'm a little obsessed.
I love that.
I actually have a little recipe here that I don't mind sharing, but it's a feed your mind ritual tea. So it's peppermint, gochu, kola, lemongrass, marigold petals, ginkgo, and then licorice, damiano, and hoshu wu. And I just got this from like one of my local shops, and I started mixing it myself, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. So it's like more of like a mental stimulation.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then we also have like a cleanse one that I developed. So it's like burdock root, dandelion, nettle leaf, marshmallow root, red clover leaf, and the flower, alpha leaf, peppermint, licorice, ginger root, and calendula. And This one is so good. If you're feeling just a little sticky inside energetically, I feel like it's like an internal like cleansing.
Oh, I love it. It's sticky inside. That's such a good description.
It's just how I feel like. I feel like the energy gets like stuck in like a pocket, and then I just feel like sticky and like staticky, and I can't move properly. That's just how I feel with energy.
Such a good description. I love it.
I was wondering, do you incorporate like fabrics at all into your Hearthcraft? Because I was kind of diving into that myself.
Oh, I know. It's so interesting. I wish that I could. Um, I will like incorporate as far as like just like color magic,
Hmm.
doing it that way. But as far as any actual like sewing, no,
Yeah.
not my alley. I have never been good at that. One of my friends is, and my mom is, and they're like always crocheting stuff, and I'm like, very cool, but
Can't do
that's
it.
not in my wheelhouse as far as I go with like any even like trying with fabrics is just color associations in my wardrobe. That's like as far as we go.
Yeah, for myself, I started sewing sigils into like some of my main pieces that I wear frequently. And that's been really helping with me because I tend to forget to do sigils like on the body during the day because I'm in such a hurry. So I really like being able to like, oh, I know this sweater has this, and just grab it and go.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great way to do things. I feel like what I envision in my head is like the sigil. It never turns out if I like try to sew it. So I have to
Yeah.
like
Oh.
draw it on, you know?
Just like use like a Sharpie, put it under the
Yeah,
tag, and you're good to go.
exactly.
For myself, I just like dived into this a little bit this last month, and I didn't even realize that you could have correspondence with fabrics. And it's like so obvious when you think about it, but like for example, cashmere is like warmth and comfort, and then like denim is like durability. And I was like, whoa, I'm gonna
Yeah,
do
it makes so
this.
much sense.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, I'm experimenting with that a little bit. I'm not much of like a sewer, but if I'm gonna make a craft or something, I might use that with like a little bit of the correspondence to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a bucket list you have for yourself for your witchcraft practice this season at all?
Oh my God, I always have a bucket list. It's like it's a combination bucket slash to-do list. You have one of those. It's like
Same.
an aspirational to-do list. Um,
What are like your top 3 to 5 right now?
okay, so top 3 to 5 for let's just concentrate on like the month of October because I feel like this like time of year, like the seasons are so different for me. Like October is completely different than what November is, which is completely
Mhm.
different than December. Like I don't have like any other 3 months that are so like different energies from each other. And it's like
Mhm.
absolutely based on the holidays and the fact that my birthday is in November. So
Oh yeah.
those like absolutely. Whereas if I go into like March, April, May, like those months all feel the same for me. So I have like very different ideas of what the, end of the year should look like. So yeah, in October, and I already mentioned, I know we're going to talk about this, but like pumpkins are top of my list for
Oh
this
yeah.
year because I didn't get to do it last year. And it was like my biggest regret of like not getting pumpkins, not pumpkin carving, not cooking pumpkin seeds. I love incorporating pumpkin seeds in my witchcraft and being able to carve the pumpkin and get those myself and roast them, dry them out, have them, in my collection. I like that so much more than like going to buy pumpkin seeds, like already done, because I feel like I put my own energy into it when I
Yeah.
go and get the pumpkin and do all of the work. And I so regretted not doing that last year. So that is top of my list for this year is to actually go pick a pumpkin and carve it and do all of the work. That's like my number one bucket list aspirational to-do list item this year. But I told my husband that is on the calendar. I was like, number one thing. And then like number two thing is I want to go to a haunted house, which has nothing to do with my witchcraft at all. But that's like
Just for fun.
just for fun. Those are my top two for this year. But also for this season, I don't know how many I'm like planning on doing, but I love this time of year for I love pop culture magic in general, but I
Mhm.
love this time of year for like watching witchy movies and TV shows. And I find that really inspirational to get ideas of like different spells because like, yes, like they're very fantastical, but I can like, create them, move them into something that is more for the real world. And
Yeah.
I like to do that. And I like to get the character archetypes to work with, and just finding new witchy like movies and TV shows that just sparks creative energy for me, like watching all of those things. So I have a list going. I don't know how many I'm going to actually get to, but I am hoping to watch my favorites, and I like turning that into kind of like a whole ritual, because it's a downtime of enjoying, but also a time to like spark creativity and sit down with a drink and just enjoy what I'm actually doing in that moment, instead of trying to like plan everything and go all the time. I just want to sit on my couch and watch witchy movies.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love that so much. And I think I'm going to start incorporating that a little bit more for myself. I already do it in terms of like using Xena. If you remember Xena Warrior Princess and
Oh
all,
yeah.
she's like my Aries archetype.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I never thought about using it for like witchy or magical things. So I definitely want to do that for sure. And like go back into maybe like practical magic and like see if I can pull some of those characteristics from those characters.
Oh yeah, they're so good. That's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, for myself, I think my top tier is start rebuilding my apothecary with a new lens. Because and this is something I wanted to do on the video. I'm not sure if anyone would be interested, but I kind of just started building my apothecary when I first started with like subscription boxes because I didn't know where to start. And or like going through my grandparents' kitchen cupboards and taking their spices. But now I have like a focus on like what I know would work for me or things I'm curious on. And I want to expand into things like having different kinds of roots and things like Hyjon and stuff. So that's one. And then also I want to start doing a little bit more of like mini altars throughout my home.
Ooh.
And yeah, like just being able to like have like a little bowl of energy within each room as a hub. And yeah, journaling, of course.
I love that. Those are great goals for the season.
It's so much fun.
It is.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with me, Steph. I really enjoyed picking your brain, and I'm definitely going to be trying that door wash. That seems like such an easy thing to incorporate, and I like to make things complicated, as we all know. So I'm going to take some of your lessons.
It is nice to be able to like incorporate a few easy things in there, just to like you have like a little daily something that you can do, make you
Yeah,
feel like connected.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. And is there anything you want to point anyone to? Maybe like your Vlogtober series?
Yes, so I am doing Vlogtober, trying to like let's be realistic. I mean,
It's
31 videos is like a lot of videos.
like a lot,
So
yeah.
I am, being realistic, and like maybe I'll take Wednesdays off because Wednesdays will have like the podcast episode anyway.
Yeah.
Uh, but I am doing that over on YouTube. It is Witch Wednesdays on YouTube, same as it is everywhere else. And I am just sharing my life throughout October and just putting up a video every day of what I am doing that is witchy related. So not everything is going to be like spells and stuff. I think like tomorrow I'm going to be sharing like my witchy book recommendations, which
Oh,
is
awesome.
my favorite thing, but like fun stuff to read during October that's like, fiction, but witch adjacent. I'll be sharing stuff like that. So I have a lot of like fun ideas of things that I'm going to be doing. A lot that incorporates like the Halloween season as
Mhm.
opposed to just Samhain specific content, but I will have some Samhain stuff going on there, visiting cemeteries and graveyard magic and ancestor altars. All of those good things should be coming up in October, because I wanted to film some more stuff and have some more stuff on YouTube. That's just like not I like doing it. It's just like not my preferred platform, but there's so many things that are better for like video format that I want to share. So we're gonna fingers crossed and give it a try this month.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what like YouTube is so great for is being able to like exercise your creative thumb when it comes to like visuals and sharing stories in that way, and just sharing your everyday practice in your life in that way. Like a lot of what we do you can't really like see, but sharing your crafts and the ingredients and like those kind of things and turning it into a story can be so much more fun and rewarding than just making like an Instagram post.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that series because those are like my favorite types of videos. So I will be watching every single one of those.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.